guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're going to be looking at the Dark Knight Trilogy Catwoman figure from Play Arts Kai Square Enix. Really good figure, might be the best one out of all of the Dark Knight Trilogy figures. I'm going to say right now she's quite impressive. I wasn't fond of the character in the movie at all. I thought it was a throwaway character that they did just to get hype for the movie. But the figure itself is quite nice, so we're going to talk about it. Before we get into the figure, let's just point out that she comes with one of those new display stands that they've been doing. So that's always a nice touch. It's a clear base, clear uprights, clear pincher thingies. The whole deal. Nothing new here. I'm not going to build it right now. It's on the card. I'm not going to pull it off. But you can see it has the adjustable pincher thingies and the adjustable upright. And that's basically what it's going to look like. On the side here you can see the different instructions for how to swap out her parts, but I'll show you that in the video, so you don't need to look at this anymore. Let's set that aside and look at the figure. Now she's standing with her legs bent just a little bit and her waist kind of cocked to the side, so her height's going to be a little bit taller than what I'm measuring, but she's just under 8.5 inches tall right here. You probably get another 1/4 inch out of her if you straighten her up, and I'll show you at the end of the video what she looks like up against Batman. But here she is. As far as accessories go, you can see she comes with a pistol. This is the movie figure. That's why she doesn't have a whip, as a couple other reviewers have said. People are complaining that she doesn't have a whip, but she didn't in the movie, so that's okay. So she has a pistol holding hand. That's the only thing that hand is good for, and it is good for it. It holds the pistol just fine. Can you see? I don't know if it's too dark to see. A lot of black on this figure, so it's going to be hard to spot some things. My complaint about the pistol is that there's no paint on it. It's just the solid black or gray, so it's kind of a bummer. But she does hold it well, and it's sculpted well. She has two open hands, which are like the claw hands that we know from the Arkham City Catwoman figure. Nicely sculpted, good paint work. Really not much to complain about there. Really well done. So she has two of those, and then she has two more hands. One that is just kind of like a relaxed gripping hand. Not really sure what she'd use that for, since she doesn't have any more accessories or anything. Maybe just for a casual stance. And then she has one also for the other side. So again, they're made well, but there is not much going on there. As far as the heads go, we have two heads. One with the goggles and one without, or one with them folded up. The face with the goggles down, they're painted glossy to look like they're glass or some kind of optics, but they are not see-through. They're not translucent, so that's just painted solid, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not too bad. They are sculpted well and painted well. And the one with them on top of the head, the face mask is done really well. The eyes are painted super nice underneath that. I do wish that the skin around the eyes was painted a little bit better. It doesn't quite match the rest of the face, but still it's done pretty well. The likeness isn't really there for these figures, or for this figure, but I'm okay with it because it looks good, it looks fine. The hair, and actually the whole head because it's painted on top of this, is made out of a translucent plastic. I guess they did that, and it's not super translucent, but you can kind of see that it is. And they did that, I guess, to make it look more like hair, in that you can see through it when the wind blows, that sort of thing, because hair is obviously a lot of little pieces instead of solid plastic. So it works okay. I mean, it doesn't look horrible. It looks fine in most conditions, so I'm okay with it. And it is interchangeable also, so if you want to put the windswept hair, which is actually done really well, let's pull the entire head off, and it'll be easier for me to show you everything. So you have the windswept hair, which is like that, and then the one that's just straight down. Zoom out a little bit so you can see. So they both look really good, and you can swap those out, and how that works is the hair itself has the peg for the neck, and the head just pops off of that. So it's the same on both, and you can see that the strap for the goggles is where the break is, so it's pretty well hidden. So you can do it either way you want. They both work just as well. Personally, I like the head with the eyes showing. It just gives the figure a little bit more realism, and it looks nice because the eyes are painted well. So I'm gonna put it back the way I like it for the sake of the review. Alright, for the articulation for the neck, it's just a double ball peg. There's no neck articulation. It's just the double peg, which is perfectly fine by me because it works really well. I mean, you get, obviously, the windswept hair. The hair is going to get in the way on either of them, and they're both going to have their own problems. But you can see the head articulates just fine. There is a gap when you look behind it, but why would you have the figure looking away from the audience? No matter how you pose it, you're going to have it at least somewhat toward whoever's looking at it, more than likely. So that'll be just fine. The articulation's good by me. As far as the sculpt on the rest of the figure, it is done really well. There's nice texturing throughout. The entire suit has texture on it, different types of paint with the flat black, and then the like patent leather type of gloss black, some silver applications along the belt. There's shading on the glossy gloves. There's like a gray airbrushing on the gloves and on the boots. Mine has a little bit of, I guess it's glue. I don't know. A lot of the play arts have problems like that, but it's not too noticeable. It's only right there. And it kind of blends in with the shading. There is also shading on the flat black as well. So overall, it looks really good. There's silver on the boots. And it's just a really nice figure. It looks a lot like the movie. The proportions are pretty good, I think. They're getting better and better with the floating crotch piece. It actually looks like it's part of the figure rather than like a big hunk of soft plastic that they just stuck there like it used to on some of the figures. It doesn't bulge out in any place that it's not supposed to. It looks fine. So I'm perfectly happy with it. There's really no problems with any of the articulation being ugly or anything like that. Even the knees are pretty good, but we'll get to that when we talk about the knees. So let's finish up the articulation throughout the rest of the figure. The shoulders have the butterfly joint that we're used to with play arts figures. It's not the best on play arts figures because, I mean, of the play arts figures that have come out recently, this isn't the best because it's relatively limited, but it's enough to get at least some extra posing done. On top of the butterfly joint, you have a ball peg that the shoulder can move around on, and then it's a ball hinge for the shoulder as well. So that's pretty good. Then you also have the bicep swivel, the ball hinge for the elbow where it spins at the bicep and at the forearm and is ratcheted. You have the same type of joint for the wrist. So ratchet and it spins at the top and the bottom. The torso is held together by a double ball peg, so it's a barbell going from the abdomen to the upper torso, so it can swivel. It's a little bit limited, but you can get it to go, and then it can rock from side to side, front to back, plenty of range of motion there. And then the lower abdomen, it's connected to that T, upside down T joint where it has the ratcheted ball hinges for the hips, and then just a standard ball peg for the lower abdomen. Pretty good range of motion. Of course, if you go too far, you can eventually see inside. Just don't bend it that far and you'll be fine. Not a problem there. Again, this is a floating piece. It's soft plastic, so it doesn't get in the way of anything. The hips are ratcheted from side to side, front to back, and then they rotate around on the ball peg. Not a whole lot on this figure, but there is a little bit of a rotation there. The knees are double hinged knees. They're made in the traditional way that Play Arts does, so they're not the best looking knee joints I've ever seen on a figure, but since she's got the skinnier legs, there's no like bulky pants or anything, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look too bad at all, I don't think. I am perfectly okay with it. It doesn't stand out as being ugly, especially if you only use the one hinge. It looks just fine, I think. So I am more than happy with how they did that, which is unusual because usually their knees aren't the best. So I'm okay with that. The ankles are the same as the wrists and the elbows. It's a ball hinge that swivels at the top of the ankle and in the foot. So you have the ratchet and then the rotation. The rotation here is what I would use for the ankle rocker. You can rotate it however you want to. You can also use the ball hinge, as you can see, to get the ankle to go where you want it to. But if you aren't satisfied with that, there is a swivel. I'll do it on this foot. There is a swivel at the toe, which you guys know from my previous reviews. I think that's a wasted joint. It's no good. You're never going to pose anybody using that, and it's just ugly. So that's silly. I don't like that, but it is there. I would suggest you use the ball hinge to get the posing done, and you'll be able to do that just fine with this figure. Now, you might be wondering if you need to use the stage or the base to hold her up since she's got these weird shoes And the answer is no. She can stand just fine. Of course, I just got done screwing with her ankles, so I might have a little trouble, but let's see if I can get her in a quick stance, just for the sake of the review. And there you go. So she's completely freestanding right now, no problem at all. And that only took me like 2 seconds to get her lined up, so no problem at all with the posing of the figure. You'll be just fine. And like I said already, the proportions on this figure are good, the paints are good. She doesn't have the glossy problems that we've seen in some other Play Arts figures. She doesn't have the bad joints. Really, there's not too many issues with this figure. She might be the best of the bunch. It's definitely not Bane. Bane was probably the weakest of the bunch, and Batman was just okay, and you'll have to wait and see what I think about Joker. But I'll give you a hint, he's a contender for the best also. So there's Catwoman. Let me get Batman in here just to give you guys an idea of the scale, of the size. Now Batman is probably too tall. They made his figure pretty tall, and as you can see, she only comes up to his shoulders, really. She's just about as tall as his shoulders, and he's not that big in the movies, and she was pretty tall in the movie, so the proportions aren't necessarily accurate, or the scaling, but it's definitely suitable for just regular displaying. If you don't care about the accuracy, then this is perfectly fine. I think it's probably better than it was in the movie, so I have no problem with it. So there it is, guys. There's Catwoman from the movie, and it's a really good figure, and I do recommend it. You can go buy one and enjoy it for yourself. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, more custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.